Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Donald Trump's indictments turning into a powder keg that is ready to blow, the Maui wildfires, and so much more to share with you here on the Maverick News channel tonight. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by again this evening. A privilege to be with you, as always, and I am grateful. Stay with me. We have a lot to unpack tonight.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
We're back. So we're broadcasting across all the platforms tonight, except, we are on Facebook. I didn't think we were, but we are. So we're on all these different platforms tonight. That being said, we won't be staying on Facebook or YouTube very long. There isn't much in tonight's lineup that we can actually talk about on YouTube. We will not be talking about the Trump indictment on YouTube. Too dangerous for us. We will not be talking about even these Maui wildfires. Can't really talk about some of the information that we have in that regard here tonight on YouTube. So we'll be jumping off YouTube. We don't really have a choice, because if we say some of the things that we're going to talk about, YouTube will ban us. So we won't. YouTube will be disconnected very shortly. So let's just get this out of the way right now. I'll put the link to the Rumble channel in the chat, so you guys can follow us over there. Hang on. Now, it is in the description on most of the social media platforms. But let me get you the, well, you know what? Let me get you the exact link to tonight's program. There it is. That's much better for you if I give you that. Here we go. There's the Rumble link. Just click on that link, and that will take you over to our Rumble channel. So, okay. I will begin the broadcast then, not with really our top stories. This goes against everything I ever learned in journalism. You always lead with your strongest stuff. But our strongest stuff is not YouTube or Facebook compatible. So we have to save that for a little bit later. Stick around. It's coming up. And if you're not over on Rumble yet, head on over. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff too. First up, I guess we can talk about, what can we talk about? Even this is a little dicey. Look at this. Quebecers becoming, in Canada, and especially in Quebec, medical assistance in dying is becoming normalized. Look at this mainstream media headline. Quebecers no longer seeing doctor-assisted deaths as exceptional, says oversight body. Here it is. As the frequency of medical aid in dying continues to rise in Quebec, the head of the independent body that monitors the practice in the province says he worries doctor-assisted deaths are no longer being seen as a last resort. A doctor sounding the alarm on MAID, medical assistance in dying. Quebecers have stopped appreciating MAD as an exceptional procedure for people with incurable illnesses whose suffering is unbearable. This, according to Dr. Michael Bureau, and he said this in a recent interview. We're no longer dealing, he says, with an exceptional treatment, but a treatment that is very frequent. Now get this, you scroll down, it says here, Quebec is on track to finish the year with 7% of all deaths recorded as doctor-assisted, according to this physician. 7% of all deaths in the province of Quebec now doctor-assisted. Is that really what the public thinks medical assistance in dying is? Did anyone really think that we would hit a level like that? As you know, I have firsthand experience with this. I am not a fan. I do not advocate for this. I am opposed. Very, very opposed. Because that 7% is 4.5 times more than Switzerland, 3 times more than Belgium, more than the Netherlands. And it's 2 times more than in the province of Ontario, Canada, in Quebec. My goodness. So this doctor sent a memo to other doctors reminding them that only patients who have a serious and incurable disease and are suffering and who have experienced irreversible decline in their condition can receive MAID. But I can tell you unequivocally and factually through personal direct experience with this, that people who do not fit into that category are applying for and being approved for medical assistance in dying. People who just don't meet the criteria that that doctor just laid out. Pierre says he's witnessed an increase in the number of cases that violate Quebec's end-of-life legislation. And in the Commission's last annual report, which covered a period between spring 2021 and spring 2022, it said 15 out of 3,600 doctor-assisted deaths in Quebec didn't respect the law. But the law is pretty loosely worded to begin with, and with revisions, it will become even easier to obtain approval to avail yourself of medical assistance in dying. And the 15 cases that are alleged to have fallen outside the bounds of the law have been reported to Quebec's College of Physicians. How did we get here? In Quebec, which had the highest number of MAID deaths in the country, the number was 4.7% of deaths that year. Back in, I believe, 2021 or 2022. And it was 3.3% in Canada in 2021. Anyway, these numbers become a little bit cloudy. The point is, it's becoming normalized. People are beginning to accept it. Doctors are beginning to accept it, and not as an end-of-life strategy for people who are really on their deathbed with not much time, no quality of life, and suffering from something they can really do nothing about. It's being administered and offered to people. Well, you've seen the reports, even people who are homeless and poor. And I've seen it offered to people who I don't think should qualify, frankly. You have to have 2 doctors in the province of Ontario approve your medical assistance in dying application. And if a doctor denies you, you can go get another doctor. And if that doctor denies you, say you get one doctor and a second doctor does not approve it, you can go get another doctor. And if that doctor doesn't approve it, you can go get another one and another one until you get one that says yes. You can go doctor shopping for a doctor to administer the solution. Food for thought, something to think about tonight. That should ring the alarm bell for people. If it doesn't, it's time to wake up. This is really going on. Paris Hilton went to Maui on vacation. Yeah, all this while they're saying don't go to Maui because of the wildfires. But she went anyway. She was seen on the beaches of Hawaii with son Phoenix in her arms. Oh, and all the tabloids are reporting on this tonight, and the mainstream media. Just your regular news outlets. Here's People magazine. Oh, yes, seen vacationing on the beaches of Maui, just 30 miles away from the devastated town of Lahaina. The socialite was pictured enjoying a beach day at a resort in Wailea with her husband, Carter Riem, and their son, Phoenix, in photos obtained by the Daily Mail. Oh, yeah, because, those photos, I'll tell you, they're worth coin. You get pictures of a socialite or a celebrity like Paris Hilton, and you can make some money. Paparazzi. Meanwhile, the wildfires have claimed 96 lives. At least that's the last count. We'll check on that tonight as well. And that makes it the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. And it is still burning in some spots, and they have still only searched a very small portion of the burned area for victims. It was initially a planned family trip, she says, and she has been I'm sorry, it's not her saying this in this story. It's a source close to Hilton who says it was initially a planned family trip, and she has been traveling to Maui since she was born. She has many friends and family there, and it's a second home for her. Her uncle's restaurant in Lahaina burned down, so they decided to shorten the trip and go to see their family and help where they could. When they arrived, they gathered supplies, donated to the local shelters and people in need, and made significant contributions. Okay. Nah. I don't know how I feel about it. It's just, I do not travel to Maui. Says it right there. But she went. Oh, and there's the other celebrity who's like all in on posting and talking about everything going on in Maui. Jason Momoa, Aquaman. It just seems so. I mean, I hate to say it, and I guess he's trying to help, but it just feels cheesy to have Aquaman talking about all this stuff going on in Hawaii. It just seems so, I don't know. I hate to direct it at him. I don't mean to criticize him. It's just this Hollywood feel to it, you know. It's like such a tragedy, and then to have this veneer of Hollywood, what do you call it? Plaque kind of smeared over top of it. It just feels disingenuous to me. I just don't know what else to say about it. It just, Hollywood. Ugh. Yeah. So we can say that about what's going on in Maui tonight without getting into too much trouble on Twitter, or rather YouTube and Facebook. So here's a Maui survivor. Apparently, see, this is the other thing that's scuzzy about all this too. There are opportunists out there who are trying to find ways to profit from this. And among those in that category would be some real estate agents who apparently are there trying to buy up land from people who have been burned out. Here's a clip off MSNBC. Not my favorite network, not by a long shot. But here, we'll play this for you. And get it up. And there we go.
I think right now we just need the prayers, and we need the money to rebuild our town. This is going to be a long road ahead of us, and we're just trying to fundraise and make sure that the displaced families can go back home one day. There's a lot of real estate speculation happening right now that is really frustrating, and I just want to remind all you real estate investors around the world, like, Lahaina is not for sale. Please don't reach out to these families and take advantage of them during the most devastating time of our lives.
We just heard from our reporter and from a couple of women who said that they were upset about what tourists were doing. Now you're telling me that there are real estate investors reaching out to people about their property. What's going on exactly?
Yes, homeowners have been reached out by investors and realtors offering to buy their land. And this is disgusting. And we just want to make sure that people around the world understand our situation and know that Lahaina is not for sale. It is important that the multi-generational families that come from Lahaina get to continue to live in our hometown.
That is pretty scuzzy. At least it seems to be to me. Real estate agents. Ugh. Just terrible. So we have all that, and what else can I tell you? Well, okay. We have also for you tonight Lahaina. Here's the president not responding to questions about the death toll today. Just walks by. Nothing. Great big nothing from Joe Biden on what's going on in Hawaii today. A great big nothing. Just ignores the questions. Nothing to say, but plenty of money for Ukraine. We'll send billions more over there. And here's Stu Peters. Okay, this video confirms I was wrong. This was just a forest fire without the use of any specialized directed energy weapons. That's what he posted tonight. That's an interesting post from Stu Peters. And then, see if I can find this other clip. Here we go. So, with regard to those direct energy weapons, you know, I showed you video this week of a big beam coming down that I said that video is fake as you know what. And so that particular video did not convince me that I was looking at the cause of the fires. I don't know for sure what caused the fires there. I don't know. I'm waiting for a real explanation. We did also show you that there is a class action lawsuit that has been launched against the power company on the island, which was supposed to shut down power to power lines because of the high winds, and they didn't. And then this lawsuit now alleges that there was sparking that came from these power lines, which is a big hazard in high winds. And so that's why they were supposed to shut them down, and they didn't do it. And there were warnings as well that in some areas of the island, there was an extreme risk of forest fires because of weather conditions. And officials knew about it and didn't really do anything about it. The power company didn't shut the power lines down, according to these allegations, which still have to be proven in court, but it looks like they have evidence to back up their claims. So they'll have to present their evidence and then see what happens in court. But that seems like it could be a viable explanation. Now, I'm not the only one who is talking about that. I am grateful to someone who sent me this video, and you can make your own assessment from this. But just to show you that, you know, this is a distinct possibility, we have this video from Press for Truth. Just to show you that I am not alone in saying what I said the other night.
Over this highly contentious issue of dues or the possible use of directed energy weapons. Now, I wanted to address photos like this ridiculousness that is going around online, people claiming that this is the type of stuff that is happening in Hawaii. We're going to debunk that today, guys. You got people like this asking, what really happened in Maui? Can someone please explain this during the Maui wildfires? And they show this video that it appears to show like it looks like a beam of light that's destroying these electrical, you know, outlets and facilities. No, I will be able to explain to you what's happening there. We'll go back and we'll look at the original footage, which is actually from 2018, to show you what this is actually about, where severe electrical explosions happened. And we'll explain to you where that light source is coming from. Now, that's not to say that dues don't exist. I also want to show you this Department of Defense spending bill of $1 billion annually on directed energy weapons, as they openly admit to that. Yes, dues are a real thing. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're invisible. You're not going to see a giant red laser beam coming from the sky or some sort of white laser beam coming down from the sky. This is just ridiculous. What we really should be looking at here is the fact that the deadliest fires in California state history that killed dozens were proven to be caused by Pacific Gas and Electric's electrical wires. Now we learn Hawaii's electric wires may have caused the deadly Maui fires, guys. The Hawaiian electric stock has just plunged 40% after a lawsuit alleges that it failed to shut power off ahead of the Maui wildfires. This electrical stock is now cut to junk status by the S&P after lawsuits allege that it caused the deadly Maui wildfires by failing to shut off power to downed lines. They've got power lines that have been downed by the high winds that they didn't cut the power to, knowing what this could potentially do. Meanwhile, you still got total idiots out there online claiming that it was climate change that caused these awful wildfires in Hawaii. Well, we know that to be a bunch of total nonsense. So today we're going to look at all of this and much more in this video. But really quickly, just before we do, guys, I'd ask for truth.
Yeah. So you can go check him out. Press for Truth. I gave you much of that information here earlier this week. Same stuff. And you can decide for yourself, and they'll determine in court how legitimate these claims are against the power company. But yeah, a lot of these videos that I'm seeing, they're just so, they're crudely done, honestly, the special effects, most of them. Some of them look somewhat convincing, but I haven't seen anything yet that's convinced me that I was looking at anything real. And I still say shame on people in the face of this tragedy to produce clickbait like that. It's disgusting. It's wrong. I don't agree with that kind of behavior, that kind of mind warping. And I'm not saying that direct energy weapons don't exist. They do. I'm not saying that lasers don't exist. Particle beam weapons, they do. We ran the videos here showing you how they work. And we showed you the real weapons being used so you could see what they look like when they're used. And then we showed you some of these special effect videos that people have produced, which are completely bogus. And I'm not even saying for sure that direct energy weapons weren't used, but I have seen videos and images that are just absolute fabrications. So that's not it. Now, show me something real, and I've still got an open mind about everything, but to produce something totally fake when people have died, families are suffering, people are trying to recover. We need truth in a moment like this. When people are facing tragedy, you need truth then more than ever. We need it right now. What we don't need is a bunch of clickbait artists exploiting a situation to get more people to watch their videos, which they have monetized in some way online. So be careful what you watch, be careful what you believe. Take it all in and then treat it with a healthy dose of skepticism, everything, including what you're seeing, from mainstream media and every place. I'm not making any definitive assertion here at all with regard to any of this stuff. I'm saying I don't know. But what I do know is some of that stuff is just crap. So, and I appreciate having that video sent to me tonight because, at least I'm not alone in that assessment. Now it is 6:30 p.m. So I'm sorry, YouTube, but we are going to have to go because we are going to talk now about Donald Trump and the indictment. And I am afraid, I don't think we will say anything wrong or anything inaccurate, but I'm very, very, very afraid of you, YouTube and Facebook, because you are so ban happy. In fact, before we go, here's the link to the Rumble channel again. I put it in the chat there for you. So you can go over to watch us on Rumble. I'll give you a little more time. What was it I saw today that YouTube was going to ban? Oh, yes. YouTube is going to start banning videos that promote or talk about cancer cures that they say do not work. So now only cancer treatments that are approved by, I guess, the established medical community will be you can talk about on YouTube. So if you have anything else you want to talk any other alternative treatment, no, sorry, you can't talk about that. That's misinformation. So they're going ban happy on that now. I'm telling you, Facebook, YouTube, they're making themselves irrelevant. Facebook banning news content because they don't want to bend the knee to the federal government and pay the fees to the news outlets that the legislation requires. So they just say no news content at all in Canada. Well, without that news content, I can tell you that I'm already seeing a change in the way you interact with Facebook. It's not as engaging. Not for me, I suspect for most people, because the content that was sort of taking people on that emotional roller coaster ride, where you're seeing stuff that confirms your bias, which they feed a lot to you, and then they feed you something that gets you angry. They get you kind of euphoric, and then they hit you with a big crash, psychologically manipulating you when you're looking at Facebook, but it hasn't been as effective. I've noticed it because I'm susceptible to it. I'll be looking at stuff online here and, scrolling through, and used to be, I could get stuck here for a half an hour or longer, just looking at videos, because they grab you and grab you and grab you, and then they put another one in front of you. But I've noticed that it's not engaging me the same way. So they've shot themselves in the foot. The federal government has as well. And social media company Meta, they've shot themselves in the foot too. I'm not unhappy about it. I'm kind of glad. The federal government wanted to sort of capture the social media companies and force them to pay the legacy mainstream media companies a fee so that they could continue to report the news the way that the government wanted them to report it and be propagandists, because they're also dumping money into the mainstream legacy now. They basically bought and paid for the coverage. But now what's happened is they've actually self-censored. Inadvertently, accidentally, the unintended consequence of too much government intervention coming back to bite them on the butt. So now there's no mainstream media coverage through Facebook, which diminishes the amount of coverage that they get, doesn't serve the public as well. So we all suffer from that. But so too will Justin Trudeau, because he's not getting the fabricated coverage that he was counting on through Facebook. Now, I don't know in the long run what's going to happen with these other social media platforms like YouTube and even Twitter and even Rumble. Right now, news content is still on there, but over on YouTube, as you're seeing, massive censorship. So what are we doing? We're pulling off. We're pulling off. Sorry, YouTube, but smarten up. You can't censor people like this and expect people to just stick around and just talk about cats and fish and dogs and what they ate for lunch and do anything meaningful for people. And now, the healthcare thing reaches a whole new level. They take it to a whole new level. Cancer treatments. We saw the same and continue to see the same treatment when it comes to the shot in the arm, right? Now extending it out to cancer treatments. And it probably won't stop there. So it's very clear that Big Pharma is controlling Google. Bad news. Bad news. And that kind of censorship, that shows you as well. Everybody was hung up on Bill C-11 and C-18 in Canada. And everyone was like, oh, as soon as that happens, you're going to get a lot more censorship. But this shows, like, that's true. We are getting more censorship, both direct and indirect, through those two pieces of legislation in Canada. But the government doesn't need any additional legislation for extreme censorship to take effect. We're seeing it in the US through the Biden administration, through these lawsuits that have been leveled against the Biden government with regard to censorship, showing that the Biden administration has been directly manipulating what the social media companies have been doing online, directing them to engage in censorship against political opponents and for various other reasons, including reasons related to the shot in the arm. And they didn't need special legislation for that. They just needed to manipulate things behind the scenes. And the social media companies themselves, they're private companies, so they are free to cut people off, censor people, engage in all kinds of censorship without any government legislation at all. Now, in the US, it's unconstitutional for a social media company to be directed by the federal government. It's actually illegal, but you have to catch them doing it. We may have done that, and maybe the lawsuit that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is pursuing, maybe other legal avenues will be taken that will be successful to flush this out of the system, but I'm not optimistic. And you have the Twitter files that came out, and we're learning more about what has been going on at Facebook, learning more about what's going on at Google too. Everybody can see it. It's obvious now. It's wide open. But you don't need the government to do this crap, right? Again, my hat off to that Press for Truth guy. His channel, got to check him out more. That was brave and correct. I think the right thing to do. So I have a lot of respect for him after seeing that. Thank you for that. Okay, let's take a break. And I'm sorry, YouTube, but you guys got to go. So we're going to disconnect from YouTube now. All YouTube channels now disconnecting. Head on over to Rumble, guys. We will see you over there. Adios, YouTube. There's one gone. And here's YouTube number 2 going away.